Which AI-powered video generation tool is the best, and how exactly do these diffusion models work? Hi everyone, welcome to Departments, where we dive into the art of AI. Today, we're testing a relatively new and possibly the best video generation model, MiniMax Highlure. I will call it MiniMax for short. Since I started using this app, I've stopped using stock footage, and making YouTube videos has become much more fun. I think you're going to love it too. Despite my excitement for MiniMax, I promise to stay objective and put it through a rigorous test. To make things even more interesting, I'll be comparing MiniMax to another champion of video generation, Kling AI. This will truly be a clash of the titans. But first, let's recall how generative diffusion models work. This will give us a clearer insight into the challenges MiniMax and Kling face in this battle for the championship title. In the context of gases or liquids, diffusion refers to the spreading and mixing with a surrounding substance. Generative diffusion models apply this concept to the pixels that form an image. As you know, videos are made up of sequences of static images that, due to the nature of human visual perception, create the illusion of motion. To trick such a powerful analytical processor as our brain, these images must be similar enough to appear cohesive, yet slightly different to convey movement. While AI excels at creating stunning static images, turning them into a smooth and coherent sequence is much harder. Still, some diffusion-based solutions are already delivering impressive results. For example, the open-source video generation model, Storry Diffusion, provides insight into how these tools work. According to its research paper, Storry Diffusion uses a language model to break down a user's prompt into several more specific prompts. This highlights the importance of providing a detailed description of what you want in the video. Otherwise, the model might fill in the gaps itself, and the results may not meet your expectations. Next, these refined prompts are passed to the diffusion model to generate images. To maintain consistency across frames, Storry Diffusion uses a technique called consistent self-attention, which ensures key details like clothing, facial features, and other elements stay aligned throughout the video. This prevents issues such as a business suit randomly morphing into a beach outfit, unless of course that's exactly what you had in mind, especially if you haven't been on vacation for years. The next step brings these static images to life. The developers of Storry Diffusion employ their proprietary motion prediction method called semantic motion prediction. This technique encompasses interpreting the content of each image using the semantic space to make more coherent predictions for the next frame. This approach is especially effective for complex scenes involving multiple interacting objects. Predicting frame transitions without considering semantics relies on abstract features like textures, shapes, and colors. While the model may recognize patterns between pixels, it lacks a clear understanding of what is being depicted. This can lead to an overemphasis on details without accounting for proper proportions or logical constraints. For example, it might render each finger on a hand with high realism, but that won't matter if the hand ends up with more than 5 fingers. In addition to the challenges of stitching static images into a seamless sequence, there are also complexities in generating images themselves. So how do generative diffusion models create static visual content? The process starts with the neural network receiving a very noisy image, along with a vector-based description of the image it needs to generate. The model predicts a certain amount of noise, which it subtracts from the original one, in a process known as denoising. This cycle is repeated until the model is satisfied with the result. Of course, the outcome doesn't always meet our expectations. If you're wondering why this happens, the training data might be part of the answer. Generative AI can create images of virtually anything, even things that don't exist and couldn't have been included in its training datasets. However, this reflects the model's ability to generalize and synthesize available knowledge rather than invent something new. If a model knows what a Tasmanian devil looks like, it can easily add, for example, wings and change its fur to pink. But when it comes to depicting well-known objects in unusual ways, generalization often falls short. For example, generating a hand with 3 fingers can be mission impossible. Midjourney v6.1 recalled everything it knew about gestures, but failed to understand what I was asking for. During training, it likely saw mostly hands with 5 fingers. Flax turned out to be smarter, but also missed the mark. Even after I clarified that I wanted to depict an intergalactic creature with 3 fingers, the results still favored standard anatomical norms. And this is Flax 1.1 Pro, which in my opinion is the best image generation model as of today. So, what can we realistically expect from video generation apps, which likely rely on less powerful image generation models? By the way, we don't have to guess. Kling has an image generator. Let's give it a try. Well, no surprises here. It couldn't depict the limb anatomy I asked for. So, It's unrealistic to expect Kling to generate a video of an intergalactic creature with 3 fingers if it couldn't even accurately create its image. MiniMax followed the prompt more closely. We see elongated fingers, though there are still more than 3 on each hand. By the way, just look at this facial expression. This is one of MiniMax's strengths, though it can be a drawback, as generating silent and static characters can sometimes be challenging. So, the result of the first round, 2 points for MiniMax. This model creates very expressive faces and adheres to prompts more accurately. For example, Kling failed to depict the Jedi's magical crystal emitting light. Of course, this is a complex prompt with many details. If we try something simpler, both models would likely perform similarly well. But here, we're aiming to find the best of the best. Let's try again to generate some futuristic creatures. I'm eager to give Kling another chance. This time, I want to generate a gastropod that manipulates deep-sea debris. And here's how MiniMax handled the prompt. Not perfect, but it adhered to the prompt better than Kling. To address some of the mentioned limitations, most video generation tools allow you to add the first and last frames, sometimes even a few frames in between. This approach greatly increases the chances of getting the desired result. In terms of control tools, Kling outperforms MiniMax by allowing the addition of both the first and the last frame. With Kling, you currently have more control over the camera movement. Additionally, you can add a negative prompt to exclude unwanted elements. In contrast, MiniMax offers only basic features. You can set the first frame and a prompt, that's all. So Kling wins this round. However, animating images is still more exciting with MiniMax. It has already breathed new life into many popular memes. Naturally, I couldn't resist joining in on the fun. Generative diffusion models struggle with precise numerical comprehension. Unlike humans, they lack an innate ability to count objects. Instead, they rely on recognizing patterns and associations from their training data. Even when trained on massive datasets with billions of images and hundreds of millions of videos, they still fall short of capturing the vast complexity of our universe. For instance, Kling struggled to generate 10 puppies playing on the beach, even though the video looks nice overall. Now, let's see how MiniMax handles it. Here's something interesting about MiniMax's approach. It uses a clever trick. It doesn't show 10 puppies on screen at the same time, but if you count all the puppies appearing throughout, you'll find exactly 10. I'm not sure if this qualifies as fair play, but MiniMax relies on this life hack quite frequently. If you think that generating puppies is too simple, after all, there are probably plenty of dogs and cats in the training data. Let's try something more exotic. We'll stick with the ocean vibe, but replace the puppies with ballerinas. First, a quintet. Notice how MiniMax positions them toward the sun, with a gentle breeze adding to the atmosphere of the video. I can't help traveling to that beach in my thoughts. Well done, MiniMax. Now let's aim for an Olympic record with 12 ballerinas. Once again, MiniMax uses its clever trick, avoiding showing everyone at once. However, I counted 13 ballerinas throughout the video, and the overall quality noticeably dropped. By the way, do you enjoy dancing? Many people do. Just scroll through any social media. However, AI still lacks high-quality training data to master realistic, dynamic choreography. This applies to any complex motion. While generating videos of runners is relatively easy due to their predictable movements, capturing the diverse and intricate biomechanics of dance remains a hurdle for generative diffusion models. Synchronizing movements to a rhythm adds yet another layer of difficulty. Breakdance is perhaps one of the most challenging examples. This already Olympic sport has it all: complex and unpredictable movements, rotations, and acrobatic elements. In other words, it's a true nightmare for any diffusion model. Kling, as you can see, is no exception. So, I'm not expecting MiniMax to surprise us either. But wait, it's not so bad after all. A Catwoman dance? That's interesting. This is a very telling example. No comments are needed. If you were mesmerized by this spinning, let me show you in slow motion how the dancer's body rotated independently of his head. Even performing just a few consecutive spins remains a challenge for both MiniMax and Kling. The good news is, if you make a living with such dancing, you're in a better position than your Argentine colleagues, who might face AI competition sooner. Not from Kling, of course, but MiniMax could be a serious contender. Let's get back to our ballerinas. I have a fairly complex prompt. I wanted the screen divided into 4 parts, each showing a ballerina performing a movement, all synchronized with one another. Kling didn't fully meet my expectations, but there are indeed 4 ballerinas, and their movements are reasonably well coordinated. Of course, there are plenty of mistakes, and you don't need to be a professional choreographer to notice them. MiniMax, however, grasps my idea much better. The screen is properly divided, and the ballerinas perform movements that are more alike. Still, there are noticeable defects. Let's push the challenge further. 5 ballerinas dancing in the street in the rain. I think Kling's ballerinas could use a bit more practice. Though, to be fair, dancing in such heavy rain would be tough for anyone. That said, this is a noticeable improvement compared to the earlier Kling 1.0 model. MiniMax has much better choreography with movements that are mostly in sync, although we see morphing and other mistakes. Also, the rain looks more like scattered showers. Finally, I want a ballet dancer to perform a pirouette on a mirrored floor, and the rebellious Kling sticks to its unique style. In contrast, MiniMax follows instructions more obediently. The movements are dynamic and rotational, which naturally leads to significant deformations. However, with a bit more practice, this ballerina will be ready for the big stage. Rendering text in videos can be also challenging. Many diffusion models struggle to generate even a single image with readable text elements, let alone create a sequence of cohesive images. Kling has failed to generate either a photo or a video with even simple text in English. I haven't tried Chinese. MiniMax, on the other hand, did a great job with this popular call to action. However, if you try something more complex, this tool feels less confident. Let's try to generate an image with a diagram first, and then create a video based on it. A diagram typically renders text good enough, and this time was no exception. MiniMax performed much better in the image-to-video mode, as well as Kling. However, Kling still struggles with rendering text in the text-to-video mode. Here we are, at the grand finale. I've prepared 7 extremely challenging prompts to help us crown today's winner. I'll occasionally add some sound effects, but just to be clear, those weren't generated alongside the videos. Alright, let's dive in. First, let's test the ability of these models to transform one object into another while following the laws of physics and maintaining proper scale. A paper airplane should be transformed into a real one mid-flight. MiniMax attempts some metamorphosis, but it's not quite what I wanted. Kling, meanwhile, creates a rather strange-looking airplane, but I must admit, it does look nice. Now let's test accurate fluid dynamics, particle interactions, and temporal consistency. I want to see raindrops falling onto the surface of a lake in slow motion. At the very least, I'd like to see something like this. But MiniMax is not a rainmaker, and neither is Kling. However, Kling did a better job simulating the ripples on the lake's surface. The next challenge is to capture micro-details and create natural patterns. I want to see ice crystals forming on a window. Honestly, I'd prefer more sun and warmth, and it seems that MiniMax and Kling agree with me. They both struggled to generate nice ice patterns. However, MiniMax better followed the prompt showing ice crystals on the window. Genmo, by the way, handled this prompt much better. Crowd dynamics is also a tough challenge for generative diffusion models. It involves complex interactions, diverse behaviors, temporal coherence, and scalability. For this test, let's try to generate a crowded train station. Here's what Kling 1.0 produced. The newer model does a better job, but it's still far from perfect. For example, this man seems to have lost his suitcase, or perhaps it transformed into a smartphone. And as you can see, all the faces have noticeable deformations. In my opinion, MiniMax performed better, though it's not without its flaws. At least we can see a train and plenty of passengers in a hurry. It definitely looks more like a real train station to me. It's interesting to see how Genmo tackles crowd dynamics. At this speed, any shortcomings are virtually impossible to spot. You might be wondering, what is Genmo? It's a relatively new app capable of generating dynamic videos. I'm still exploring its capabilities, so I'll share my thoughts on it later. Let's move on to the next test. Fine motor movements, anatomical accuracy, and authentic interaction between objects. MiniMax struggles with depicting realistic piano playing. At times, the keys move on their own or become deformed. Kling, however, does a better job. Movements are more dynamic, though there are still noticeable flaws. I'm also curious how these models handle 3D camera movement, transparent materials, and fluid simulation. MiniMax didn't manage to move the camera, and the water level in the glass stayed unchanged. Kling didn't succeed in filling the glass either, but it did come close to capturing the camera movement as prompted. Let's enhance our prompt and specify that the water level in the glass should rise. Now that's more like it. This once again highlights the importance of a well-written prompt. Now the water level is indeed rising, but it didn't stop when the glass was full. MiniMax failed to follow the prompt correctly, and there is no camera movement. This time, I like Kling's fluid simulation, though it's still far from perfect. The water level in the glass continued rising a bit longer than necessary, and the camera movement also disappeared. And now for the final test, a bouncing ball. Most video generation models, including Kling and even Sora, judging by its demo videos, struggle with this type of dynamic motion. However, MiniMax appears to be on the right track. I think we've seen enough to declare a winner. The only factor left to consider is the cost of generation. The standard monthly subscription for MiniMax is just under $10. This includes 1,000 monthly credits plus 100 daily bonus credits. Generating a single video requires 30 credits, allowing you to create roughly 133 6-second clips per month. That translates to about 8 cents per clip, or just over 1 cent per second of generated video, a pretty reasonable cost for its capabilities. MiniMax also offers an unlimited monthly subscription plan for $95. There's also a free plan that provides 100 bonus credits daily. However, the free plan has its limitations: slower generation and a watermark on all outputs. The standard monthly subscription for Kling costs $8.80. This includes 660 monthly credits that accumulate and 66 daily bonus credits. Generating a single clip in the professional mode takes 35 credits, allowing you to create approximately 75 5-second clips. This breaks down to around 12 cents per clip, or just over 2 cents per second of generated video. Both apps allow users to purchase additional credits as needed. They also frequently offer the opportunity to buy credits at a discounted price. Well, considering all the factors we've discussed, I believe MiniMax is currently not only the more affordable option between the two, but also the best video generation tool overall. If you have a different opinion, please share your thoughts in the comments. However, I'll continue using both tools. As I was wrapping up this video, Kling unlocked the ability to generate videos from images in standard mode using its newest model, 1.5. This can save you 15 credits compared to the professional mode, while still producing videos of decent quality. To better understand the difference between the various models and modes of Kling, I generated 4 videos using the same image. Let's take a look at the results. As you can see, in standard mode, Kling 1.0 merely adds basic camera movement with little else. In contrast, Kling 1.5 delivers better video quality and a more dynamic scene. Well, generating videos with Kling 1.0 in standard mode costs only 10 credits for a reason. That is why I didn't factor it into the pricing comparison. In professional mode, Kling 1.0 delivers improved quality compared to its standard mode. However, it still falls short of Kling 1.5 when it comes to scene dynamics and overall visual engagement. Moreover, Kling provides several useful features that MiniMax still lacks. For instance, you can select the aspect ratio, making it easy to generate clips for YouTube Shorts. You can also choose between 5 and 10-second videos, or extend them even further. Additionally, Kling supports lip syncing, though currently only for English and Chinese. However, there's a variety of voices to choose from, adding more customization to your creations.
Patience, a virtue it is, but wait too long for your coffee to cool, and cold it becomes.
It's also worth noting that both MiniMax and Kling, like many other tools, are continuously evolving and improving. If I were to do this comparison a year from now, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a new winner. So, if you enjoy this kind of content, please subscribe to this channel to stay updated on the latest AI innovations.